Today I've got probably one of the cheapest lenses that you could get for Fujifilm X mount, and it's this 35mm f1.4 from 7 Artisans. My name is Stuart and I'm on a mission to document my journey as a photographer and videographer using the Fujifilm ecosystem, sharing the gear and the settings that I use, all while showing you the best that South Korea has to offer. I'm at Gwangjang Market today to kind of rediscover the joy of what it means to shoot cheap gear. Now, of course, because it is such a cheap lens, it is not autofocus, it is fully manual focus. You do have an aperture ring on there as well, which is just declicked. What I will be doing is actually doing this as a POV style video, so you're obviously seeing me on the Osmo DJI Osmo Pocket 3 now, and then what I'll do is I'll put on the POV neck mount and we'll just get to walking around and you guys can basically see exactly how I shoot manual focus with this cheap lens. So I will say that this lens definitely does have a nice look to it, especially with the lens hood on. You can kind of see it's got that kind of silhouette. The lens hood did not come included with the lens. I bought it extra, so that is something to note if you are interested, and I will put affiliate links in the description down below. So it is a full metal lens design, which does give it a very nice, reassuring, solid feel, especially when you compare it to other lenses that are made from plastic. However, even though the lens build is pretty good, the main areas where these cheap lenses usually tend to skimp out is on the lens coatings. So you know, the coatings that they put on the glass, and usually because those are a lot cheaper than more expensive lenses, you do get, you know, a lot of fringing. You get what a lot of kind of pro reviewers and photographers call character, and that is something that's definitely quite unique about this lens. However, all that said, it is still $69, and that is pretty crazy. I mean, that's like bargain basement prices for someone who's looking to get into photography and looking to make their first real lens purchase in the Fujifilm ecosystem. So what I'm going to do now is go into POV mode and hook up the action camera onto the neck mount, and I'll show you guys exactly the setup that I use, which has actually turned out to be quite convenient. This is basically the setup that I'm using for POVs, and you can see it's kind of a neck mount that attaches to the camera, and I like it because it is relatively discreet. What I'm going to do is just kind of put it underneath my jacket like this, and so that it doesn't exactly stand out. So this is basically the setup that I'm going to use, and I have used it once before in previous videos, and this little neck mount that actually attaches to the action camera is from Telison, and again, that I will put in the description below so you can find the links if you are interested in buying it yourself. Okay, so I do think it's worth mentioning that I am shooting indoors and that I am shooting wide open just to keep things as frozen as possible. However, what that does mean is that you don't get a lot of room for forgiveness, especially at f1.4. If you stop it down to about f2, f8, things do look a bit sharper, but for the most part, from the images that I've seen on the camera itself, definitely not the sharpest images that I've seen. And I knew that also, having used it a little bit before. But having said that, I do think there's an element of fun when you're shooting with a manual focus lens. The other thing that I have done is set up focus peaking. Now, focus peaking is basically a kind of a way to assist you in finding focus when you shoot with manual focus. And so on the Fuji, you've got different options for colors that you can use for focus peaking. And I've set mine to yellow just because I am shooting in black and white. Normally I have it on white for, to show the areas that are in focus. But for this time, because I'm shooting in black and white, I've changed it to yellow, and that just tells you where the plane of focus is when you're shooting. So the other quirk about using a manual focus lens is that you can't actually see the aperture, doesn't read out on the screen. Some manual focus lenses do show you the aperture, but I think because this one doesn't transmit that data via the lens, you don't have a readout of the aperture. And again, that's just one of the ways that they've cut costs with this cheap lens. So just walking around this market, you definitely get the feeling that, there's a lot of character. There are a lot of characters. There's a lot of stories to be told. Yeah, the vendors are generally quite friendly here, but then I think that is part of being a market that is catered more towards foreigners. So you don't get the kind of disapproving looks that you might if you were to go to a super traditional Korean market. So after spending the afternoon wandering around here at Gwangjang Market, taking pictures with the 7 Artisans 35mm f1.4 fully manual focus lens, I guess what you're expecting is for me to give a verdict on the lens and whether or not you should buy it. Now, I'm not going to tell you whether or not you should buy it, but I will say that I think shooting this kind of gear is an essential part of your learning journey as a photographer. Number one, because shooting with manual focus forces you to slow down and work a little more with your gear and to appreciate the process a little more as well. Number two, I think having those skills in your skill set does make you a better photographer and a creative. So as for this lens specifically, it is $70, and that's not a lot of money in the bigger scheme of things when it comes to Fujifilm lenses. So if that's money that you're willing to part with for a learning experience, then I would say absolutely have a look at the 7 Artisans 35mm f1.4. I've got some bungapan here that I'm going to eat, and then I'm going to head back. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do feel free to like and subscribe. My name is Stuart. Thank you very much for watching.